I often refer to myself as an accidental entrepreneur because I never planned to run a business. I went to Australia, qualified as a brewmaster, came back to India thinking I'm going to pursue a career in brewing. But I found that breweries in India didn't want to have me because of my gender. And therefore, I realized that this was not going to work. And it was an accidental encounter with an Irish entrepreneur that saw me start my company. And I think that's where my entrepreneurial journey began. I started out in my garage, converted it into an office. I then realized that it wasn't just the brewing industry that had problems with women. I realized that banks didn't want to lend to me. People didn't want to work for a woman employer. So I had a huge number of perception hurdles to overcome because I was young. I was 25. I had no business experience. I had no money. I was considered high risk and my credibility was very low. And my journey, my entrepreneurial journey has been about building credibility. So the only thing that I was confident of was my knowledge of biotech and enzymes. And I realized that most industries were very poor in understanding new technologies, and so I had an upper hand at telling them about these new technologies and how I could replace some of their chemical technologies with these eco-friendly enzyme technologies that were so much more efficient. I always believe that for an entrepreneur, you need to have a purposeful mission. My first entrepreneurial phase was about greening uh, in businesses and industrial processes because I realized that chemical processes were very polluting, and I realized that enzyme technologies could really replace them very efficiently and make them very ecologically friendly. And then my second phase was about making an impact on global healthcare by providing affordable access to patients anywhere in the world. And that's where I started my biopharmaceutical journey with insulins, because again, insulin was a very interesting opportunity for me because I realized that India was at the epicenter of diabetes, and we were importing all our insulins, which is such an essential critical therapy for diabetes. And because people could not afford recombinant human insulin, they were buying animal insulin and using animal insulin, which is quite immunogenic. So I said, let me develop a recombinant human insulin based on a platform technology that I had developed for enzymes. And this platform technology was a very specialized yeast technology, which actually makes us unique even today because we are the only company in the world using this technology. And today I'm proud that I'm the lowest cost insulin producer in the world. So I think if you're driven by a sense of purpose, I think it makes it all the more easy and all the more worthwhile to do what you're doing.
I think that's so important. And your drive and enthusiasm, it's incredibly inspiring listening to you. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing women today in business, particularly entrepreneurs?
So, Pamela, I don't think too much has changed since I started my business because credibility still remains a big issue. I think the investment world views women in a very unfair way. They basically think we are not risk takers, we're not ambitious enough, we're not aggressive enough in the marketplace, etc., etc. And I think these are very flawed perceptions, which I think women still have to overcome. So at least in my own journey, I have proved that none of what they think about women entrepreneurs is true. But despite that, I think because money is in the hand of men, they are very, very biased about supporting other male entrepreneurs rather than female entrepreneurs who have to try twice as hard to access that capital. And that's what I think we need to learn to fight for equal opportunities as women.
I think that's a really important point that you've just made. That it's typically men who are funding entrepreneurs, and perhaps they feel more comfortable giving money to men. Clearly, we have to fight as female entrepreneurs. So, how do you help and encourage women in what still is seen as a traditional male dominated industry?
So obviously, I do talk at many forums where I kind of keep, articulating the same message over and over again, saying, "Look, technology is agnostic to gender. Business opportunities, in many ways, can be agnostic to gender if you actually view it that way." And I always tell women, you should not just subjugate yourself into believing that you can't do certain things or that this job is not for women. And I think it's also up to us in the corporate world to make that extra effort to provide women leadership opportunities. So I think you have to make that extra effort to make sure that even if a woman is not that experienced, if she has the potential of playing that leadership role, then please hire her despite not having that experience. And I've taken those bets on people and it's worked.
It's interesting. I often think that females just need more encouragement to apply and have a go. And they internally might only think that they've really only got 60% of the attributes and experience the role requires. Whereas a man who has a similar experience profile mentally feels that he's got 140% of the experience. I do think it's for our high potential ladies, it's a real mental battle to feel sometimes that you're equally as qualified and to go for those opportunities.
You're absolutely right. I mean, basically, I think women are at an unfair advantage because men in general feel the job is theirs. And they are far more confident when they sort of seek those job opportunities than women are. Women go with a sense of diffidence. And I think that's what needs to change. I think my advice to women is believe in yourself, stop being diffident, and try and fight that diffidence with a sense of confidence that you are as good as anyone around you.